Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Excalibur Data Systems Roundtable Tech Talk. I am Mike Fuson. I'm joined today by Will Barrowes from CG4. Will, thanks for joining me today.
Hello, Mike.
It's always a pleasure to get together and talk asset tracking. CG4 is one of our very special partners that we've done some really crazy and exotic things with for customers. When you think about how basic the technology is, it's the things that we can do to make people's lives easier. We had recently done an episode where we kind of talked about, scanning and what is it and why does it matter, and the stuff that's not on the wire, and stuff that's on the wire, and all that sort of stuff. But where the rubber really meets the road with the CG4 product is what you call modules. Now, to clarify for everybody, these are not additional things that you buy for CG4. These are workflows that you set up in CG4 to do specific things and to ensure that specific steps are happening. An example that is a basic one is an inventory. We're just inventorying an asset, and zip zap, yep, it's been inventoried, and we're great. But then you can get into much more complicated processes like moves, adds, and changes. We get into shipping and receiving concepts and everything else, where the modules can be set up to do specific things. So, Will, talk to me a little bit about common modular setups that you see that customers use.
Okay, well, there are so many. Like some of the big ones that people do is like inventory, like you mentioned, just to be able to walk into a room, scan everything that's in the room, so that you know that you last saw this piece of equipment at this date and this time, and the name of the person that did the work, kind of like an audit history. Another type of module that's really common with people is just issuing assets out to employees, and then letting them use them for some period of time. And then if they switch jobs or get promoted or something, they need to swap out some equipment, then you can use the scanners and your smartphones to check assets back in, so that you get great accountability for those 5 company assets that probably cost a little bit, so that you can check it back in and account for all of it. Those are a couple of samples. And then just doing capturing new assets when you run into them. If for some reason they're not out on, not in your system, capture those right from the scanners. Or maybe you're retiring a bunch of assets right at the end of their life, or sending them back to a disposal vendor. It's great to scan those things as touch points.
Well, and that's one of the things we talked about. Like you talked about checking assets in, checking assets out. Kind of a new hire, new starter,
Right.
A leaver, employee separation process. Whereas and different assets can be issued at different times, right? We think about what happened with COVID. Some people may have been issued webcams or an additional set of monitors to take home and an extra docking station or what have you. And we have the ability to scan those out. Now in the module can say, okay, I scanned the asset. Okay, I've confirmed. I know what this is. This is laptop 1234. Who are we giving it to? Right. And we can punch that person's name in, pick them from a drop-down list. We can set the module up where we say, okay, we're doing a check-in, check-out, and I want to put the employee name in first, and everything I zip-zap after that is going to them. A lot of different ways to kind of approach the workflow. That's the beauty of it, is the customer kind of sets up what do we want that workflow to look like, and could adapt it later where they go, oh, this might be a little bit easier because we check out 12 things to every person, and picking them first would be a little bit easier than picking them one at a time. As I've heard Taylor from the CG4 team talk about, a lot of customers have a whole bunch of different modules, and they use them for very specific purposes, where you might have a new hire process, may say pick the employee and check out all the assets, but assign asset may just be for onesie twosies. And the workflow could be a little different between those. And then checking them back in, one of the beauties of the way you guys have these modules built, we might do a check-in process, and we say, okay, we're checking everything in from Mike Fuson, and we zap everything that's in front of us, and we say, okay, we're done. And the system, the CG4 system can go, wait a minute, there's 2 more things that, according to the data that we have, which is coming from a CMDB. folks that are watching, bear in mind this is all integrated to your CMDB in many cases. And so all of a sudden we know, okay, there's 2 more items that have been checked out to Mike Fuson. So where are they? Oh, shoot. Yeah, I totally forgot about the headset or what have you that needs to be checked back in. So it improves that. It makes that speed lightning fast. It improves our accuracy. And then while we're doing it, we're updating the CMDB in the background. And
Right.
one of the things we've worked with CG4 on is really enhancing some of the integrations. We kind of came up with a new integration process where for a number of the customers that we work with, they're in very, very high audit environments. And so what CG4 is able to do is push over an auditable event. Every time something is scanned, it's pushed over and it's based on the module. What were they doing? And we know what were they doing, when did they do it, who did it, and then what happened. And we are able to pass those data points over. Now, in the IT service management platform, we're able to build workflows that pick up, oh, hey, I've got a new audit record for this device. What do I do? Am I updating the status of it? Am I changing the user? Am I doing both? Like, what am I doing? We're able to set rules, and those can be auditable, saying, hey, these changed. But when an auditor comes in, they go, hey, well, I noticed it, we assigned it to a new person on this date. Like, give me the details of what happened there. Well, in a lot of cases, they don't exist. But in the CG4 audit log, it shows exactly who did it, what date and time it was done, and exactly what happened. So we all of a sudden have a much richer data experience that we're able to provide in those high audit situations. But we have this ability to build modules to do almost anything we want.
Right, and you can that audit log, you're able to look at the entire history of an asset from the time that you first created it and scanned it, and until went through all the steps and the modules and the use cases that you just mentioned, all the way to the end of the life. And having that entire audit history gives people that are responsible for those assets warm and fuzzy feelings. And with the CG4 software, these modules, it's 100% configurable. You don't have to be a programmer to do it. So as you have new ideas of, hey, I'd like to scan the asset right at this point, you can do it in a matter of a handful of minutes, and then figure out what type of additional workflows you want to tag onto it. And you don't have to necessarily be a programmer. It just puts the power into your hands.
Well, and coming back to the audit logs, the way we've built these integrations is the audit log is a single set of data. We're able to segment it for the particular CI. So we're looking at a CI, you only see its audit log. But if you wanted to actually search the audit log and say, show me all new hires in the last period of time, you could actually get all of that data in one swoop to see everything that might have been part of a problem, or there was a period of time where apparently there was an issue or a challenge or what have you. You have the way to slice and dice the data in multiple ways, present that in dashboards, do whatever you want to do with it. It gives you a lot of flexibility to leverage that. But the real point is we're leveraging CG4 for accuracy and workflow and speed, right? The speed is something I cannot put a finer exclamation point on. Because you're accurate, there's no typing anything in, there's no having to look it up and do it one at a time. It's bing, bang, boom, and it's passing the data over to your IT service management platform, which is then actioning that data, entry.
Some customers say that they've got great processes, but sometimes it involves writing something down, going back to their computer, typing it in. Well, sometimes that doesn't happen. I mean, they would like it to happen all the time, but if you're just doing it from a scanner, you go blip, and that marks it as having been checked out to Mike, and it's going to be due back at this time, and it was checked out from this location. They don't have to go back, and it's all part of that making them more efficient and making your whole CMDB more accurate.
Right, and that's the driver. I've done, I don't know how many webinars and sessions talking about CMDB. It's one of my passions. And for so many clients, it's the garden that can easily grow weeds. And what CG4 brings to the table is the ability for you to ensure a high level of accuracy, a speed, because you take out all of the excuses. I forgot. Well, did you lose your scanner? Because you should have been able to go boop boop, and you'd have been, it wouldn't have been a whole lot of effort. You never had to go into the CMDB itself to actually update it. It's not that you're never going to do that, because there are going to be those occasions where certain processes are going to dictate that. This is for all of those things that are those repeatable, common processes that we need to do. And one of the most dreaded ones being an inventory of what's in a particular location. And we had talked about that, being able to inventory a whole area and then have CG4 go, well, okay, here's 10 things that the CMDB is telling us are also in this area that you haven't scanned, even though you said you're done. All right, now it's the Easter egg hunt. Are they in the area? Have they been moved? Right now, it takes a little bit of research, but it gives you that ability to serve the multiple purposes the organization has. We want our CMDB to be accurate. We don't want assets to go missing. Accounting's going to ask us where the heck this thing is. And we had talked about in previous sessions. You start to think about leased assets. You got to turn them all back in. You kind of got to know where they are in order to do that. And if ones are missing, you'd like to know that. So it starts to give us that ability to do that. And I know in my conversations with Taylor from your team, you've got clients that have thousands of modules, literally, that they've built. And there's a top 10 that they tend to use, but they've built ones for very particular purposes that they need served. You have clients that have 12, and that serves every need that they have, and they've built them in a way that follows their workflow. But that's the beauty. It's your workflow. It doesn't have to be. We can give you examples. We can give you guidance, but you can make it your own.
Exactly. It's kind of like an organic growth where you get some ideas, and then you start to, once you get your first set of ideas, you say, hey, wait a minute, I'd like to also do this. And then you can do it with a couple of clicks, and you're on your way trying it out.
Well, it's driving that underlying organizational effort of continual service improvement. We want these things to be accurate, to be able to onboard a new hire and it take literally less than a couple of minutes to issue all their gear, rather than, well, we need an extra day because we've got to prep that. So we need more lead time in order to make sure we've got everything properly accounted for and then get it to them. We can do it just that much faster because we're removing certain manual steps that are they're not hard, but they're time consuming and prone to inaccuracies. Make it very accurate and very quick.
And if you make it, the simpler you make it for your technicians that are out doing your processes, the more pleasant they are and the quicker they do the work, and everybody wins. Just make it as simple as possible for them. It helps get the work done.
Absolutely. So, Will, thank you for joining me today. It's always fun to kind of talk about this stuff, help customers understand what real asset tracking is going to do for them. We invite any of you, reach out to the team here at Excalibur. We'd love to get you together with the team at CG4, and let's talk about how we can make your asset tracking that much better for your organization. Will, thanks for joining me today, and we hope to see you all again soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
All right, take care, everyone. See you soon.